On the 21st of this month, March 2025, NNAMDI KANU was rearraigned in the court, in the Federal High Court, where he pleaded not guilty on the fresh count charges levied against him by the Nigerian government, bordering on treason. Now, NNAMDI KANU pleading not guilty implies that, of course, the Nigerian government, the accuser, must prove their case beyond reasonable doubt. By that, they have to provide witnesses to testify against NNAMDI KANU to be able to convincingly and overwhelmingly indict NNAMDI KANU in the courts of law, at the courts of law, for which the presiding judge or the presiding judge over the case of NNAMDI KANU, being Justice James Omotosho, has given Nigerian government more than a month for them to prepare their defense, their witnesses against the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. You know, prior to this time, in 2016, when NNAMDI KANU was arraigned in Nigerian courts, the same issue, of course, cropped up. Nigerian government could not establish any case against him, could not provide any witness until a point of frustration. They decided, of course, to, through the back door, bring in a masked witness to testify against NNAMDI KANU, which the judge presiding over the case, Justice John Tisoho, from at that, objected to that any witness that must be presented to testify against the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, NNAMDI KANU, must be unmasked to ascertain the veracity and the authenticity of the person's claim. You don't have to mask a witness to testify against someone. If he or she believes he is a witness and will testify against the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, he should be bold enough to come unmasked, and the court will understand whether this one is a known person or not. So you must make yourself available and visible before you could be admitted to testify against the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. Ever since, no one could dare to, because what are you testifying against him? A man presumed innocent under the law, which unfortunately Nigerian governments have not been able to present or tender any witness against NNAMDI KANU, which led to the six-panel judge squashing all the count charges against him. Now, another opportunity has come. It's been reportedly, allegedly, from undisclosed quarters that there is an intention, there is a move by the Nigerian government to pay anyone willing to testify against NNAMDI KANU in the courts, at the courts, of course, 10 million naira. You know what that means? It's a very juicy, of course, opportunity for perhaps some persons might jump into, but the case is, who and what are you to testify against him? A man who already the appellate court of law, a higher court, have dismissed, acquitted, and said, we found him no guilty. We found him not guilty of whatever allegation that was levied against him, and unfortunately the Nigerian government could not prove their case beyond reasonable doubt. So it's another moment to watch as we see this unfold, whether there could be anyone possibly that may present his or herself as a witness against NNAMDI KANU, as the court, of course, adjourns the next sitting until 29th of April, next month. You can see it's more than a month, giving Nigeria a very long opportunity, a very long period to present their witnesses against NNAMDI KANU. Well, whatever be the case, of course, we are going to watch an interesting moment as the court resumes on the 29th of April 2025. Is a day everybody, of course, is anticipating and eagerly waiting to see what transpires. Could there be of course, anyone who will present himself as a witness. For Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, he has an overwhelming witness. Of course, he has testified and has made a broadcast that is a reality of Nigeria today. The killing, the massacre, the invasion, the raiding by the Fulani militias, and of course, those pushing for Islamic Caliphate is a witness to that we attest, of course, in favor of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Reason why he's insisting the killings in Ondo, in Yoruba land. Of course, there are several people who have testified that the Fulani has occupied the forests of the southwestern region, the Yoruba forest, the Yoruba land, ancestral homes. Just as it's been reported that some Fulanis are bragging that the forest of the Oyo, the Ibadan, belongs to their forefathers. You know what that means? All the way from Sahel, from the north, from the Futajalons, and then you came to claim a portion, just a land in a place your father did not originate from, and perhaps could not have any transaction that could have given him such opportunity to have possession of that. Well, if there is otherwise, of course, they have to prove that in the court of law, but telling, of course, the Yorubas that the forest of the Oyo belongs to them. Does it mean they paid the Yorubas, kings and obas to have acquired such holy time? Of course, we tell if they have the evidence to tender in that regard. Whatever, or perhaps have exchanged the land, of course, for, you know, cattle, the Yorubas for cows. The Yoruba like so much Owambe. Whatever be the case, I think the people of Oyo and the Fulani who claim ownership of such regions must, of course, iron out their issue, and then that is left for them. Now, my interest lies that what will anyone, even if induced or monetarily induced, to testify against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, what will the person say? That is, for the past 10 years, the federal government has not been able to provide an evidence, someone who will testify against it. Even the federal government's lawyers could not stand to testify. If a whole federal government cannot testify, bring evidence that could indict Mazi Nnamdi Kanu for the past 10 years. Is it within this shortest possible time? Of course, they will do that at just about a month plus. It's an impossible task, and it's just, of course, buying time. We all know, we understand what is playing out, and only a matter of time that will define, of course, and reveal whatever seems to be playing, of course, at the background or behind the scene regarding Mazi Nnamdi Kanu release. The only thing I believe the government should do is to set him free, to comply with the provision of the Constitution and the verdict of the Appellate Court of Law, which the Supreme Court have upheld by saying that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu never jumped bail, of which concord with the provisions or position of the 6-man, of course, panel of judges that ruled the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, setting him free of whatever count charges levied against him. So, returning it back to the lower court to resume the trial and sourcing for evidence, somebody who will testify, could be, of course, a waste of time, by my own opinion. And even Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, with the level of subjugation or the way he has been treated and what is playing out in Nigeria today, he has gotten more, of course, sympathizers, more fans who will support him, even from the north, from the west, and from the north central. The middle belters, of course, are passing through a very difficult moment in their life. So they will even align with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to testify in his favor. Well, only time will tell whether anyone will be presented as a witness to testify against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Let's be on the watch. But for me, I think that is not possible, because if they have failed in the first instance presenting any person, as it was alleged that in 2016, before he was granted bail in 2017, that the former agitator Wazirike wanted to mark himself to testify against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. But since the court insisted that no admittance of any witness masked, every witness that must testify must be unmasked. We must see who the person is, and if he's sure, of course, overwhelmingly sure of what to witness as a witness to testify against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, he shouldn't be afraid or shy of being unmasked, coming the way he is to testify. It's a very interesting moment to watch, but for me, I tell you, he's a done deal. It's just Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will definitely win again, because this argument is baseless. Based on the provisions of the Constitution, which the Nigerian government have contravened, his extraordinary rendition has given Nigeria a knockout, a technical knockout already, because you cannot try a man who you renditioned, and the allegation was not within the Nigerian jurisdiction. So you have lacked the jurisdiction to try him, and also by virtue of the extraordinary rendition, which is considered as a criminal act and a violation of his fundamental rights, and the treaty, of course, Nigeria had with Kenya bordering on extradition. So with these illegalities, I don't think there's no way Nigerian government or the Defense Council of the federal government will scale through with this case against Mazi Nnamdi. Of course, if the court, the appellate court of law, have said he has no case to answer, but the insistence of Ahmed Bola Tinubu administration, of course, for a fresh trial to commence is just to buy time and nothing more. Well, only time will prove otherwise, but the case is, what is the willingness of the executive of the Nigerian government to respect her own laws and have regard for the constituted or the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is quite an interesting moment to watch again, as Mazi Nnamdi Kanu possibly might, of course, give a deadly blow to the Nigerian government in the second time. Only the 29th of April, the 2nd of May, and the 6th of May will prove otherwise or affirm, of course, our position.